Welcome back to the first episode of Industry Insider, sponsored by Amazon Web Services. I'm your host, Francis Rose. As you just heard, moving to the cloud requires a few changes. The end result, though, can mean more speed, more processing power, and better automation. Joining me now, Don DeSanto, Director of Strategic Partnerships, and Ravi Ravichandran, Chief Technology Officer at BAE Systems Intelligence and Security. Gentlemen, thanks both very much for coming on. Ravi, I want to start with you. As the CTO, what are your priorities? What are your big agenda items right now?
I'd like to answer that by taking a step back and asking why. Why do we have this? And 3 weeks ago, I was at the Atlantic Defense Forum, where they spoke about, for the defense challenges that we have, the importance of commercial and defense partnerships. They talked about each of them brings mission understanding, innovation, and that is what's unique about why we are here, of what we are doing with AWS, the investments they have done to build out AWS, and for BAE Systems, the mission understanding that we have, and to bring that together. And the priorities are built around that. Three overarching priorities are AI, ML, autonomy, and cyber, and how we are taking those technologies into solutions.
I want to come back to that, to those three priorities if we have time. Don, what are the big benefits that people in all parts of the government, but especially in the warfighting space, seeing with transitions to the cloud?
With the transitions to the cloud, it's really about reliability, flexibility, the collaboration available in that space, and mobility. And having those four key fundamental things in the cloud available to them allows them to actually grow and attain those mission criteria and those requirements as needed.
The collaboration piece of it, I think, is the one that maybe has the most potential, especially in a joint environment where organizations are trying to communicate with each other in ways they've never communicated with each other before. What are some of the areas that you expect to see a lot of growth in collaboration, Don?
A lot of the new AI, ML, the autonomy, the machine learning, labeling, markup and labeling features are all key pieces that are going to continue to grow and move forward in this space. Even as we move forward in this space and move our innovations and our solutions to help our customer sets, I think we're going to be doing big things in the next year.
There's a term that I'm seeing, and I want to understand it better: public safety and disaster recovery competency. I'm familiar with the first piece of that. What does competency mean when it's tagged on to that? Either one of you can take that one.
So AWS, through their partnerships, to attain certain levels, you have to have certain competencies, certain processes, methodologies, and frameworks that have been audited by a third-party auditor for AWS to even reach and attain that competency. So by AWS identifying us as being having that competency, we've been through a third-party audit, we've identified, we've delivered, and to our customers these types of solutions on a consistent basis.
Ravi, your company has a status as a premier consulting partner. What does that mean?
It is the value we have in providing to AWS in terms of the business partnership that we have and the business that we have driven into AWS. That gives us that premier partnership.
Don, when the cloud first became a thing, when people first really started talking about cloud transitions, I'm going to say 6, 7 years ago, saving money was the thing that most people thought would be the benefit that a government organization would realize. That doesn't seem to be the emphasis now. Not that you can't save money by moving to the cloud, but people are talking about things like data processing, the collaboration that you mentioned earlier, those kinds of things. What are the #1 drivers when people come to you and say, we're thinking about doing this transition? What are they telling you they want to accomplish in a cloud transition now?
There's a couple of key, and I'm going to dwell on reliability, the fact that you have all these different availability zones and on different all around the world that you could roll your solutions into. But also as we move forward with our new IoT devices, all the different Internet of Things devices on our hips that we carry around is creating more and more data. And the customers that I've talked to recently are all about tired of seeing AI ML solutions that are only proof of concepts and cannot scale. because you cannot scale these true AI ML solutions without having some type of elastic cloud background or infrastructure to be able to scale them up to use them in a large mission critical environment.
Cannot sounds pretty definitive too. Like they just won't work without that kind of a backbone.
You need that kind of backbone, and whether you're going to spend millions or sometimes billions of dollars to build that backbone on premises in your own data centers, it's really far more realistic to allow a commodity elastic cloud solution to be your infrastructure for that solution.
To pick up on where Don commented, what you're seeing is across a mission sustainment enterprise, one of the things you're seeing is vast amounts of data being collected. On one end, you begin at logistics. You want to maintain a system. So the supply chain management. The next, it is the predictive analytics that goes to saying what parts do I need, what parts are going to fail. So that is maintaining the system. And then you move to the mission itself. So I'll give some examples of our missions. We have command and control. You are connecting heterogeneous assets, air, surface, space. How do they all put data into one place? So that is what's remarkable about the cloud. And what's remarkable about the cloud is now it is a new infrastructure. So you can get data in, you can secure the data, you can access data out. Another area of growth for us is ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. They want to take this application into a new area. And what this allows us to do is that portability. You can take it out, and now you have this capability for the warfighter, for mission outcomes. And that's what it allows us to do. Take this data that comes across the whole enterprise and to now have one place to manage a vast enterprise of capability.
Don, we have about 30 seconds left. What's the question or questions that you get asked the most when you go out and talk to customers that are in maybe the beginning stages of a transition?
What kind of framework do we have, right? How can we show that we've done this multiple times, and how can we make their transition to the cloud as easy as possible and securely as possible without adding any further risk to their environments?
Don and Ravi, thanks both very much for coming on. It's great to have you here.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
So far, we've covered some of the cultural and organizational changes required for IT modernization in government and benefits of moving to the cloud. Up next, a deep dive for agencies approaching Agile at scale. You're watching Industry Insider on the Government Matters Thought Leadership Network.